Welcome back. There's continued criticism of the accuracy of crime stats released yesterday. Experts say the commercial crime stats don't reflect the state of white-collar crime in the country. Police stats indicate commercial crime has decreased to about 230 cases a day. But independent reports say economic crime is at its highest level in the past 10 years. To discuss this, I'm joined by Peter Goss, Corporate Governance and Forensic Audit Advisor at Peter Goss Limited. He joins me now from Johannesburg via Skype. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. So the category into which commercial or financial crime falls is called other contact crimes, if I'm correct. And that includes crimes such as cash and transit heists, bank robbery, aggravated robbery and shoplifting. That category overall, according to the recent crime stats, has shown a decrease of 4%. But that overall decline may be downplaying or even hiding the fact that commercial crime stats are at their highest level in 10 years. Is that correct?
That's correct. The figures that indicate that at the highest level in 10 years is a casual survey by a large accounting firm. These surveys are what we have to rely on in view of the weaknesses in commercial crime statistics. Just an indication on rand value. President Peter told the Financial Times in the UK that we had lost between 500 billion and $1 trillion rands in relation to corruption in procurement. We have to rely on thumbsucks of that nature because of the weaknesses in the stats.
So the weaknesses, as you call them in statistics, have a very big impact on how we are able to react to these crimes, both in terms of prevention and in terms of trying to put legislation in place to adequately legislate those crimes and deal with offenders, correct?
That's correct. So if you were to ask the providers of official statistics, what is the rand value of commercial crime in South Africa, you'll be shocked not to get a decent figure that explains the extent of commercial crime in South Africa. So this is a major issue. How then do you combat corruption, which surveys tell you is the third largest commercial crime that takes place in South Africa? So the largest is, the largest is asset misappropriation. And third is procurement fraud. And we just see now with the PPE issues and the upcoming infrastructure development that we're going to have post-COVID, if we can't keep stats of what the commercial crime or corruption is, how on earth do we combat it?
So when we're talking about commercial crime, we are talking, as you've mentioned, corruption, procurement crimes. Those to ordinary South Africans might seem very out of their domain. What are some of the commercial crimes that touch the lives of ordinary South Africans in a very real way and on a daily level?
Oh, certainly. Commercial crime is a flashbang in the middle of every South African's life. Identity theft, the theft of your identity, accessing the internet using your name, transferring funds from your bank account without you knowing, Nigerian 419 scams. So, no, the man in the street is first line of attack when it comes to commercial crimes. Your cell phone probably gets a text at least once a month, if not 3 times a month, offering you some ridiculous package of benefits or some winning of a lotto around the world. So, no, we're all impacted by commercial crimes. It's certainly not something for big business alone. And these stats are no reflection of commercial crimes only in big business. They're commercial crimes affecting all sectors of society in South Africa.
Now, as we see an increased access to digital communication and digital work-related workflow, obviously these kind of crimes will increase. But has COVID-19 had a direct impact, do you think, on the increase of commercial crime?
Absolutely. A survey by the Americans, which they communicate to their citizens who want to travel to South Africa, indicates that amongst the largest threats they will face is security of the internet and cybercrimes. So cybercrimes and identity theft are at the forefront of crimes facing people who visit our country and our shores. More importantly, in the COVID era where we're all digitized, commercial crime has gone up substantially. Cybercrime has gone up substantially.
So if these stats are not being put into context and moreover into very sharp focus by the South African Police Service, as you have said, they are not being done, what kind of change do we need to see in official reporting on crime to make sure that, as you've said, we can act in a way as to reduce that crime?
We need to measure the crimes that hurt hardest. Corruption hurts seriously. Procurement and supply chain fraud is probably the most proliferate fraud we have in the country. We need to get our criminal statistics up to date. Since 1994, it's 26 years later, we're still reporting a similar figure in commercial crime of over 80,000 commercial crimes. This has to change, and we've got to get a more realistic picture. In 1994, the stats would have been showing you about 60,000 commercial crimes. They haven't gone up only 20,000 in the last 25 years. And they've gone up substantially more. So we've got a real concern with the quality of the statistics. Secondly, one must remember there's such a thing called a grey figure of commercial crime. The grey figure is when a case is reported, one case file is opened. That's a case. So if we say we've had over 80,000 cases in the last year, we're not reflecting on the number of counts inside each case. So if you take the matter of the VBS Bank, for example, you'll find in that case that over 20, 30 allegations or counts in the case itself. So one case equals 30 cases in simple terms. So you can throw that number of 80,000 up by quite a quantum to get to a real figure.
How does the length of time that it takes to process adequately a corruption case, that time must surely affect our statistics?
The amount of time, I mean, let's look at the conviction rate that comes out of these statistics. You don't get it screamed about on the highest rooftop because we're ashamed of it. So conviction is where you look for success in economic crime. All you're seeing in those 80,000 cases is simply cases opened.
So the problem is actually much bigger than what the statistics are saying.
Well, the problem of investigating, putting cases before court and convicting is a serious problem.
Is there political will to address this adequately?
I hear lots of noise. You know, when a president goes abroad and he says that we have between 500 billion and $1 trillion rands in the cost of corruption arising from the last era's ruling of the country, and you make a wild reflection of 500 billion to 1 trillion, my question is, so what are we going to do about it? I'm not sure I'm hearing much about what are we going to do about it.
Thank you very much. That was Peter Goss, Corporate Governance and Forensic Audit Advisor at Peter Goss Limited, reflecting on the recently released crime stats for us, specifically there on commercial crimes.